Today we're going to be talking about slope. Here's what I want you to know. Slope in one word. In one word, slope represents a ratio. And a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. So here we are comparing the change in y over the change in x. So if you're looking at a graph and you have 2 points on a graph, and I have my line. Let's say I have a point here and I have a point here. And here's my line. My change in y happens on the y-axis. So if this is my left-handmost point, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 units on the y-axis, and I'm going to run 1, 2, 3 on the x-axis. So my slope for this is positive 4/3. Change in y over change in x. That's what it looks like on a graph. Last year, you learned slope, and we had a formula. We had a fancy formula for slope, and we said that it was going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you'll notice this means the difference, the change in y over the change in x. So how did we get this y2, y1, and what does this mean? If you look here, we already know that this is a set of ordered pairs. And here, this is an x value and a y value. This little 1 means that this is my first ordered pair. Over here, I have x2 and y2. This is my second ordered pair. So last year we said that we are just going to evaluate this formula. So I am simply plugging in numbers. y2 is -3 minus y1, which is a -1. And minus a negative, what do we know? We know that it's positive. And I'm going to put that over 2 minus 3. So -3 plus 1 is -2. 2 minus 3 is -1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And so my answer is 2 over 1, or just 2. That's how we find slope from a formula. We can also find it another way. Remember, slope in one word is a ratio, and it compares change in y over change in x. So we looked at it as a formula. Now I'm going to look at it as a table. We already know how to change ordered pairs into a table. So my left side is x, my right side is y. We did this last unit. So here I'm going to plug this ordered pairs into my table, and I get 3, -1. And here I get 2, -3. Now, because slope is a ratio that compares change in y, how am I getting from -1 to -3? Think about the number line. If you start at -1, how do you get to -3? You subtract 2. Here on the number line, how do you get from 3 to 2? You subtract 1. So now this was my change in y. Remember, change in y over change in x. So my change in y is -2. My change in x is -1, and then it becomes a +2 for the reasons I just explained. Okay? So that's how we find slope. We can find it two ways. You can find it from a table or a formula. It doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that you understand.